Before we dive into this episode of eye-catching story, please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share. James Carter grew up in the rugged heart of Ohio, where dreams often died before they had the chance to take root. His family lived in a small, crumbling apartment in a forgotten corner of the city, a place where opportunity was scarce and hope felt like a fleeting luxury. With 3 younger siblings and parents who worked tirelessly, his father at a factory and his mother cleaning offices late into the night, James learned early on that life was a relentless struggle. Formal education was a luxury his family couldn't afford for all the children, but James possessed an unwavering determination. Towering over most of his peers at 6 feet 6 inches tall, he discovered an escape in basketball. On a battered court behind their apartment building, with a hoop made from an old bicycle rim, James played tirelessly, honing his skills with a ferocity born of desperation. Basketball became more than just a game. It was a lifeline, the one thing that promised a way out of the endless cycle of poverty. By the time James graduated high school, his basketball talent had become the talk of the neighborhood. He was the kind of player who could shift the energy of a game with his explosive moves and unrelenting drive. Local scouts began to take notice, and for the first time, it seemed like his talent might open doors to a brighter future. The news of his admission to Ohio State University brought rare smiles to his family. Yet, the excitement was tinged with despair as they realized they couldn't afford the tuition. James's father, after a long day at the factory, sat him down and said, "Son, we're proud of you, but we don't have the money. You'll have to find another way." Determined not to let financial hardship crush his dreams, James auditioned for the university basketball team, hoping to secure a scholarship. The competition was fierce, but James's skill and dedication earned him a spot on the roster. It felt like a victory, but James had no idea the challenges waiting for him. From the moment James stepped onto the court as part of the university's basketball team, he realized the game wasn't just played on hardwood. The head coach, a stern man with a reputation for being unapproachable, made it clear that talent wasn't the only currency that mattered. Players whose parents could afford to donate generously to the program found themselves in starting positions, regardless of their skill level. For James, it was a double blow. Not only was he a poor player with no means to offer bribes, but he was also one of the few black players on a predominantly white team. He soon became familiar with the sting of discrimination, often being benched while less talented players dominated the court. The frustration was suffocating, but James refused to give up. He kept practicing harder than anyone else, hoping that eventually his undeniable skill would force the coach to notice. Little did he know, his battle was about to take an unexpected turn. One evening, after a particularly grueling practice where he barely touched the ball, James sought refuge in the campus library. The quiet atmosphere was a stark contrast to the chaos of the court, and it gave him a rare moment of peace. As he browsed through the stacks, lost in thought, he bumped into someone. Turning around, he found himself face to face with Emma Sinclair. She was striking, with sharp green eyes that seemed to see right through him, and a poised demeanor that hinted at a life far removed from his own. Emma, a junior majoring in political science, apologized and struck up a conversation. There was something disarming about her. She asked him about his day, his studies, and his passion for basketball. Her curiosity was genuine, and James found himself opening up in a way he hadn't with anyone else. Despite their vastly different backgrounds, there was an instant connection that neither of them could ignore. Over the following weeks, James and Emma's bond deepened. They began meeting regularly, sharing their dreams, fears, and frustrations. Emma's life was a world away from James's. She came from an affluent family, her father a prominent figure in the city, and she had never known what it was like to worry about her next meal or whether the electricity would stay on. Yet, she was deeply empathetic and genuinely interested in understanding James's struggles. James found solace in her presence, her belief in him becoming a source of strength he desperately needed. One evening, as they sat on a park bench overlooking the city, James told Emma about the corruption on the basketball team. Her eyes widened with disbelief, then narrowed with determination. "This isn't right," she said firmly. "If no one else is going to fix it, then I will." Her words hung in the air, both a promise and the start of a plan that would change everything. Determined to make a difference, Emma embarked on a mission to uncover the truth behind the corruption plaguing the university basketball program. She began her investigation cautiously, gathering whispers of discontent from players who had experienced the unfair system firsthand. Emma spent late nights compiling emails, receipts, and conversations into a growing dossier of evidence. Each new piece of information revealed a darker side of the program: bribes exchanged in parking lots, parents writing checks in hushed tones, and a list of players whose talent was overshadowed by their inability to pay. As Emma pieced the puzzle together, the full scope of the injustice became painfully clear. She shared her findings with James in a quiet corner of the library, her voice trembling with anger. "They've stolen your chance to shine," she said, her eyes blazing with determination. "This has to stop." James, though grateful, felt torn. He had always fought his battles on the court, not in offices or courtrooms. But Emma's resolve was unshakable, and her passion began to ignite a fire within him as well. Emma's investigation had reached a point where she needed more support, but involving her father, the mayor, was a decision she didn't take lightly. For weeks, she debated whether to tell James about her family's influence, fearing it might change how he saw her. But one evening, as they walked together through campus, she took a deep breath and decided it was time. "James, there's something I need to tell you," she began, her voice steady but her heart racing. "My father, he's a mayor." James stopped in his tracks, his mind reeling. The revelation felt like a seismic shift, as if the ground beneath him had suddenly shifted. He looked at her, searching her face for signs of insincerity, but found only honesty and vulnerability. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked quietly. Emma's response was simple but heartfelt. "I wanted you to know me for who I am, not who my family is. But now, I think he can help us." The revelation added a new layer of complexity to their relationship, but it also opened a door James hadn't known existed. With Emma's father now aware of the situation, the wheels of justice began to turn. The mayor, known for his unwavering commitment to integrity, was appalled by the corruption within the university. He launched a formal investigation, using the evidence Emma had collected to expose the unethical practices of the basketball program. The process was far from smooth. The coaches and their allies fought back, using every tactic they could to discredit the claims. But the weight of the evidence and the mayor's influence proved insurmountable. One by one, the corrupt figures were removed, their reign of favoritism and bribery brought to an unceremonious end. For James, the victory was bittersweet. While he was grateful for the justice served, he couldn't shake the feeling that the battle had cost Emma more than she let on. The public scrutiny and backlash took a toll on her, but she stood firm, her unwavering belief in doing what was right guiding her through the storm. With the corruption purged from the basketball program, the university brought in a new head coach, a man renowned for his fairness and commitment to nurturing talent. Under his leadership, the team's atmosphere transformed. Practices became a meritocracy, where effort and skill determined playing time, not financial contributions. For the first time, James felt like he truly belonged. His relentless dedication began to pay off as he emerged as the team's star player. Game after game, he showcased his talent, leading his team to victories that were celebrated across campus. The scars of the past hadn't disappeared, but they served as a reminder of how far he had come. As NBA scouts began attending his games, James realized that the dream he had clung to on the cracked asphalt courts of his childhood was finally within reach. As James's basketball career soared, so did his relationship with Emma. Their love, forged in adversity, became a source of inspiration for those around them. Emma's unwavering support had been instrumental in his journey, and James never missed an opportunity to acknowledge her role in his success. When his name was called during the NBA draft, the moment felt like a culmination of not just his hard work, but the sacrifices and resilience of everyone who had believed in him. Standing by his side, Emma was a reminder of how far they had come together. Their love story, though unconventional, became a beacon of hope. Proof that determination, justice, and love could triumph even against the odds. As James stepped onto the NBA stage, hand in hand with Emma, he knew their journey was only beginning, and together, they would continue to defy expectations and chase their dreams.